Hello everyone, welcome to Equal to. In the previous video, we saw what a solution is. Now in this video, we are going to see what is concentration of a solution. Okay, so what exactly is concentration of a solution? In the previous video, we did an activity where we dropped a few crystals of copper sulfate in one beaker and a spatula of copper sulfate in another beaker, and you are able to see that these two beakers, they had different colored solutions in it. So what exactly is the reason for it? There comes the concept of concentration. So proportion of solute and solvent can be varied. In the previous activity, we saw that in the first beaker, the solute, which is copper sulfate, was little when compared to the solute present in the second beaker. So the proportion of solute is varied here, and that results in the concentration of the solution. So when it comes to concentration of the solution, there are three terms that you should remember. The first one being dilute, the second one is concentrated, and the third one is saturated. So what exactly do these things mean? Dilute in the sense the solute is comparatively lesser present in the solvent. Concentrated in the sense it's directly opposite to dilute, meaning that the solute is present more in the solvent. And the word saturated means the solute is at the maximum level that can be dissolved in the solvent. So that is what saturated means. So in this example, you could see that the first beaker is comparatively dilute when compared to the second beaker, because it has less solute in the same amount of solvent when compared to the second beaker. In other words, you could say that the second beaker is more concentrated when compared to the first beaker. So these are terms that you use to compare. These are comparative terms. So you can only use them to compare the concentration of the solutions. Moving on, we are moving on with the next activity. You take two beakers, you are going to add salt in one and you're going to add sugar in the other and start mixing it, and you're going to keep on adding salt and mixing it, and you're going to keep on adding sugar and mixing it. Okay, so there will be a point at which no more salt or sugar could be added and mixed together. It cannot dissolve no more salt or sugar. Okay, so what you can say is that at this point you can make multiple conclusions. The first one being different substances in a given solvent have different solubilities at the same temperature. So this might be a mouthful, you might not understand this clearly, but just listen to me, this is a very simple concept. So we took two different substances, the first one being salt and the second one being sugar. So you are able to dissolve a certain amount of salt in water and you are able to dissolve a different amount of sugar in water, meaning that it wasn't the same amount of salt and sugar dissolved in water. So let us say you are able to dissolve two spoons of salt in water. Let us fix the volume of water as constant. Let us say we take 50 ml of water and you are able to dissolve 3 spoons of salt in it, but you may be able to dissolve 5 spoons of sugar in it. So that is what they are trying to tell. For the same for the same substance, for the same solvent, different amount of solute can be dissolved at the same temperature. Now we are fixing this temperature as constant because it is at room temperature, and we are fixing the solvent as constant because it's the same 50 ml of water. The only difference is that the solute, that is, one is salt and other one is sugar, and you are able to see that different amount of solute is dissolved. So when the temperature is constant and the solvent is constant, different solutes are different quantities that can be dissolved in the same amount of solvent. Now what you can do is that you can heat the second beaker. The second beaker we had sugar, right? Now you can heat the second beaker, and while heating you can add even more sugar into it and start stirring it. So you will be able to dissolve even more sugar into it. So this just adds to the concept that at the same temperature we have mentioned that same amount of solvent can be dissolved. Now if you increase the temperature, the solvent can dissolve even more solute. So on increasing temperature, you are able to dissolve more sugar in the same amount of water. So this is one more observation. Okay, now comes the next term which we call as saturated solution. A saturated solution is one of the terms that we saw in concentrated solutions. It's what it means is that maximum amount of solute that can be dissolved in a solvent at a given temperature has been attained. Meaning that at room temperature, let us say at room temperature, we have 50 ml of water. If you add the maximum amount of salt that can be dissolved in the solution. So if you add one more spoon of sugar, or one more spoon of salt, you will not be able to dissolve it. At that case, you will call it as saturated solution, meaning no more solute can be dissolved, no more salt can be dissolved in that amount of water. So that is what we call as saturated solution. Moving on, the other term that we saw already, which is solubility. Solubility is the amount of solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called solubility. So at a fixed temperature, the amount of solute that is present in a saturated solution. So a saturated solution is in which no more solute can be dissolved. So at that moment, the amount of solute present in that solution is what you call a solubility, meaning how much amount of solute can be dissolved in that solvent is what we call as solubility. Now the next is unsaturated solution. So if the amount of solute contained is less than its saturated level, that is what we call as unsaturated solution. So it just means that in an unsaturated solution, you can add a couple of more spoons of salt or sugar and that will be able to dissolve it. That is what you mean as unsaturated solution. So the solute is present less than the saturation level. So solubility has not been achieved completely. So it's not a saturated solution. It's just opposite to unsaturated, just opposite to saturated solution, meaning fully not utilized. So the maximum amount of solute that can be dissolved in the solution, that has not been done. It has solute somewhere less than the saturation point. The next thing is concentration. Okay, so this is all this thing is about. Concentration is the amount of solute present in the solution. Okay, it's as simple as that. And there are three types of concentrations. One is dilute, another is concentrated, another is saturated. So that is what we have seen. So it's just simply the amount of solute present in the given amount of solution. Now, to measure concentration, there are three ways. One is mass by mass percentage. The second one is mass by volume percentage. And the third one is volume by volume percentage. Okay. So the first one is mass by mass percentage. So the formula to measure concentration by mass percentage is that mass of solute by mass of solution into 100. Now you have to note this here, solute by solution, not solvent but solution. Solute by the entire solution into 100 is mass by mass percentage, and it's quite similar the other two. The other one is mass by volume percentage, meaning mass of solute by volume of solution into 100. The last one is volume by volume percentage, where it is volume of solute by volume of solution into 100. Okay, so this is that all we seen in this video. What is concentration? Concentration is the amount of solute present in the solution, and there are three levels to concentration. The one is dilute, another one is concentrated, the last one is saturated. So the first two terms, concentrated and dilute, they are comparative terms. They are used to compare solutions. One solution is dilute when compared to other, or one is concentrated when compared to other. So that is how we use it. And saturated solution is one where you cannot dissolve any more solvent into it, and unsaturated solution allows you to dissolve more solvent into it. Solubility is the total amount of solute that can be dissolved in that amount of solvent at the saturation level, right? No more solute can be dissolved. That is solubility. So that is all we have seen in this. And to measure concentration, we have mass by mass, mass by volume, and volume by volume. So that is the entirety of this video in a nutshell. Hope you understood this. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye for now.